Yeah, spring of 2026 is going down in history.
For sure. And we're going to look at how this seemingly invincible OpenAI and Anthropic duopoly just hit this massive, completely unexpected brick wall. So, okay, let's unpack this, because for 2 years, these two labs were the default choice, right?
Right, the absolute default.
Revenue was exploding, and investors basically treated them as these inevitable, unstoppable winners.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that the very foundation of those trillion-dollar valuations, I mean, the whole assumption of unlimited enterprise spending, it just cracked, like almost overnight.
Literally overnight in some cases. And to understand how that crack started, we really have to look at the actual bills that came due in April and May.
The literal invoices landing on CFOs' desks.
Exactly. So let's talk about Uber. In early April, an engineering manager at Uber pulls this routine cloud infrastructure report and notices this glaring anomaly.
So that's a massive spike.
Huge. A single developer on their team was burning through nearly $4,000 a month in AI compute.
Which is just, I mean, that's wild for one person.
One person.
Yeah.
And it's not like they were training some new proprietary model or running massive data science simulations.
Right, they were just coding.
Yeah, they were just aggressively using Anthropic's Claude code to refactor standard React components and, write boilerplate unit tests.
Just everyday tasks.
Everyday stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody even noticed the bleeding until Uber's accounting department realized that their entire 2026 artificial intelligence budget had just vanished in 4 months.
4 months. That is, wow.
Poof, gone. So by early June, Uber leadership slams the brakes. They enforce this hard cap of $1,500 per employee per month.
Which is still a lot, but yeah.
But compared to $4,000,
Yeah.
it's like giving an employee a corporate credit card for office supplies, and they use it to charter a private jet.
That's actually a perfect way to put it.
Right. Eventually, accounting notices the jet fuel bill. But let me push back slightly here.
Yeah.
Because you and I know these are massive tech companies with incredibly deep pockets.
Oh, very deep.
So why not just eat the cost? If the AI is making their developers that much faster, isn't it worth $4,000 a month?
Well, that's the thing. It's not just about being frugal. It's about this sudden realization that treating frontier models as an unlimited utility is financially toxic.
Toxic how exactly?
So the technical reality of why that money vanished so fast comes down to how transformer architecture actually operates.
Okay, lay it on us.
When a developer throws a massive multi-file code base into a frontier model just to fix, like, a minor bug.
Which they do all the time.
Yeah. All the time. The model's attention mechanism is calculating relationships across the entire context window. So the compute cost scales quadratically with the length of the prompt.
Quadratically, not linearly.
Exactly. So you had thousands of engineers pinging these massive 100,000 or 200,000 token context windows dozens of times a day.
So it's basically the computational equivalent of reading a 500-page book. Every single time, you need to fix a typo on page 499.
Yes. You're paying for the machine to process the entire history of the application just to change the color of a button.
That is incredibly inefficient.
And you combine that quadratic scaling with the rise of agentic loops. Because, these coding assistants aren't just answering single questions anymore.
Right, they're acting as agents.
Exactly. A developer types a prompt, and the AI agent might autonomously run the code, hit an error, rewrite the code, run it again, and fail 3 more times in the background before finally presenting a solution.
So the developer gets up for coffee.
And the agent has quietly made 100 API calls to a super expensive frontier model.
Wow. Okay, but again, I'm thinking about human capital. It's the biggest expense on a balance sheet. So this agent burns $4,000, but makes a senior engineer twice as fast. The math still seems to favor replacing human hours with machine hours, doesn't it?
It does, but that calculation assumes the productivity gains scale linearly with the token spend. And the data from this spring showed they just don't.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a developer might double their output using $100 of compute, but spending $4,000 does not make them 40 times faster.
Right, you hit a wall.
A strict asymptote of diminishing returns. The raw cost of the AI compute radically outpaces the financial benefit of the time saved.
And Microsoft realized this too, right? Because they took it even further than Uber.
Much further. In mid-May, Microsoft delivered a brutal blow. They canceled thousands of internal Claude code licenses.
Which is huge, considering Microsoft's scale.
Massive. And this wasn't some isolated experiment. This was across their core product teams. Windows, Microsoft 365, Teams.
The crown jewels.
Yeah. And they enforced a strict June 30 cutoff. No transition period, just a hard stop. And they ordered all their engineers to use their own internal Copilot CLI.
So Anthropic lost one of its biggest enterprise customers literally overnight.
Yes. When a company with Microsoft's footprint looks at the invoice and decides to stop subsidizing a competitor's frontier model for daily tasks, it exposes this fatal vulnerability in the duopoly's revenue base.
Because Microsoft has the infrastructure to just mandate an internal alternative, they don't need a massive reasoning engine just to help engineers write C-sharp boilerplate.
Exactly. The tension between engineering teams who want the shiny new tool and finance teams who actually have to pay the cloud bill, that tension finally snapped.
And that Microsoft cutoff really acted as an accelerant, didn't it? Because building directly on that, we saw this incredible domino effect in June.
Yeah, it was an industry-wide panic.
Total panic. On June 1st, Walmart slapped token limits on its internal AI agent. Then Amazon quickly followed. They restricted third-party tools, and they killed their token maxing leaderboards.
Oh, the token maxing leaderboards.
I mean, we have to talk about this. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the sheer absurdity of these systems is mind-blowing.
It really was.
They literally celebrated how many tokens employees were burning. Meta even explicitly called their internal system the Claudeonomics leaderboard.
Claudeonomics.
Yeah.
Just a perfect artifact of the era.
Right. It was basically gamified cash burning. Being at the top of the Claudeonomics leaderboard was this proxy for your value as an employee. Like if Dave in engineering is burning 5 million tokens a week, Dave must be a rock star, outputting massive amounts of code.
Well, you have to understand the psychology there. Management wanted to force behavioral change.
How do you mean?
Getting legacy engineers to abandon their traditional workflows and adopt LLM-assisted coding, it's difficult. People resist change. So to break those old habits, companies incentivized maximum usage. They treated compute like a free utility just to drive adoption metrics.
Ah, I see. But the hangover from that strategy was absolutely brutal.
Beyond brutal. It was a synchronized rejection.
Yeah. Mid-June, Meta sends out this company-wide memo enforcing strict token budgets. They completely dismantled the Claudeonomics leaderboard, and they rolled out this new thing called an AI gateway.
Which was a massive shift.
Yeah, aggressively steering their workforce toward their internal system, Metacode. And while OpenAI wasn't spared, Anthropic was really the hardest hit across these companies.
They definitely took the absolute brunt of these enterprise cancellations.
Cisco and others followed suit within weeks. The era of free spending was officially dead.
Completely dead. And that AI gateway concept fundamentally changes the market dynamic. Exactly. The gateway acts like a triage nurse. It analyzes the prompt in real time, figures out the intent, and decides where to route it based on cost and capability.
So if it's a super complex logic problem, it goes to GPT-4 or Claude. But if it's just summarizing a meeting, it silently routes it to a cheaper model like Llama 3.
Right, and the user gets the exact same quality of output, but the company pays a fraction of a cent instead of 5 cents.
Which instantly commoditizes the frontier models.
It does. And this brings us to a really structural problem for the duopoly. Why does a wave of corporate budgeting threaten their actual existence?
Right. We have to transition from the actions of the buyers to the existential crisis of the sellers here. Because they build their business models on a very specific assumption.
The assumption of constantly increasing spending. Traditional software economics rely on zero marginal cost, right?
Yeah, build it once, scale it for free.
Exactly. But frontier AI scales in the opposite direction. The business models of these big labs are predicated on hypergrowth.
Because of the training runs.
Yes. Without this hypergrowth in revenue, it becomes incredibly difficult to finance the multi-billion-dollar training runs required to stay at the technological frontier.
We're talking gigawatt data centers, hundreds of thousands of GPUs. It's not a linear cost increase. It goes from 100 million to a billion to 10 billion.
And investors who previously offered, blank check support, they're suddenly asking hard questions.
Right. They ignored the losses before, but now they want to know about margins and sustainability.
Exactly. The hockey stick revenue curve just snapped.
So just to clarify this for you, the listener, if the money slows down, the training slows down. Does that mean their technological lead is essentially running on borrowed time?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes. The duopoly is no longer inevitable. This isn't just a temporary budget cycle we're talking about.
The fundamental restructuring.
Exactly. It's a structural shift. The window of unquestioned dominance is actively closing right now.
Which sounds grim for them. But let's pivot to the positive side that the article mentions. Because this vacuum creates a whole new, healthier market
It
ecosystem.
really does. When limitless spending ends, you get forced innovation.
Right. As enterprises rationalize spending, they're turning to open-source models, specialized mid-tier providers, and efficient internal systems like Copilot CLI and Metacode.
Because extreme cost pressure forces better engineering. We're moving away from brute forcing problems with the most expensive models.
So what does this all mean for you? Because if you are listening to this and building products or managing teams, this shift is incredibly empowering.
Totally empowering.
It means a future with a wider variety of specialized, efficient AI tools, rather than just being locked into a two-horse race.
You're no longer locked into rigid pricing. You have the leverage to build modular systems. Swap models in and out.
Right. And we're seeing a renaissance in model distillation, too, taking the high-quality outputs of frontier models and using them to train tiny specialized models that run on incredibly cheap infrastructure.
The innovation is accelerating outside the two main labs. The power is shifting back to the builder.
Which is amazing for the ecosystem. But it means the ultimate challenge for OpenAI and Anthropic is now a frantic race against time.
It really is. They have to figure out how to deliver frontier performance at a price the market is actually willing to pay.
And they have to do it before the rest of this newly energized, cost-conscious ecosystem just completely catches up.
Before their moat completely erodes.
Exactly. So to wrap this up, we've journeyed through how the unchecked spending sprees of spring 2026 hit a massive wall.
The death of token maxing.
The death of token maxing, the rise of the AI gateway, and the resulting existential threat to the AI duopoly. It's been a wild ride.
It really has. And, I want to leave everyone with a final thought here, something to mull over.
Oh, please, Sue.
If the multi-billion-dollar training runs for current frontier models are already proving too expensive for the market to support, what does this mean for the next generation of AI?
That's a great point.
Right. If the revenue engine stalls out, could the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence simply hit a financial ceiling before it ever hits a technological one?
A financial ceiling.
Yeah.
Wow. That completely reorients how we have to view the next 5 years of development.
It really changes everything.
It does. Well, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The landscape is moving fast, but we'll keep unpacking the real mechanics behind the headlines. Keep asking questions, keep exploring.